Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
If you work in university maintenance, Granger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Granger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more, and all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRANGER, visit Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense.
Awful.
He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Bam.
Yeah.
Sun Coaches is proud to partner with Titan Sports for the next 4 seasons on Sun Coaches podcast. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X at Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and to start season 4, I've got one of my favorite guys I've ever met in the business. He's retired now, and he won't say it, but I will. He's a legend. Coach Matt Fligg, thanks for being with us.
Well, I mean, you went a little too far of saying a legend, but Coach, it's a pleasure to be on your station. Your podcast is, it's grown. I've heard a lot of coaches talk about it, and I've heard some podcasts of yours, and I think you're doing a great job, and I appreciate you. I appreciate being on your show.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you, and we met years and years ago when I came and interviewed for you, and you know, me and DT talk about it all the time, that there's a lot more good mechanics than there are shops. And the reason I think you're a legend is not only because of the kind of person you are, but the fact that you won a lot of places where people said you couldn't win. And I think it all starts from the fact that you're a coach's kid, right?
Yeah, you know, and that's very fortunate. My dad, I tell you what, I was born on the day his first head coaching job was at Grady High School. And I'm going to tell you how old I am now. That was 1958, August 30th, 1958. I was born that day. He had his Grady coaching shirt on. And so I was born in a coaching family. And then my father, I tell you what, he took Irk Russell's place at Grady High School. Irk went to Auburn. And he was the head coach there for 6 years. And then in 1964, he coached Bobby Dodd's son at Grady at Georgia, Bobby Dodd at Georgia Tech. And Bobby Dodd called him one day in 1964 and said, "Look, you want to be my head freshman coach?" And Dad also got offered the athletic director of the City Schools of Atlanta. And we're talking about the late 50s. So that was a pretty big job. So he had to make a decision. Does he want to get in college football at Georgia Tech with the legendary Bobby Dodd? Or does he want to be the AD of the City of Atlanta? So he chose college football, and that's where it all started. He was at Georgia Tech 2 years and hooked up with a guy named Jim Carlin, who got the job. He was the Georgia Tech defensive coordinator, and he took the job at West Virginia. And we lived next door to the Bowden family, and he was there with Dad. And it just, we went from West Virginia to Texas Tech to South Carolina, And then he went further than that, but at South Carolina, I kind of got on my own and started coaching. But
Where did
I
you
was
go to
very
high
fortunate.
school?
I went to high school at Irmo High School in outside of Columbia. It's a big school, and always good in football. But I tell you what, Chris, I think my favorite year was in Lubbock, Texas. Uh, After West Virginia, Dad went as offensive coordinator at Texas Tech with Jim Carlin, and I lived there from ages 11 to 16, and I fell in love with the place, and I had unbelievable friends. And I remember in 1975, Jim Carlin took the job at South Carolina, and Dad went with him as offensive coordinator. And so I spent half my sophomore and junior and senior year at Irmo High School in Columbia.
And then after that, you went to the University of South Carolina, correct?
I did. I tell you what, I played at Newberry College the first year, and I transferred to South Carolina, and I was injured. I walked on there, and I got hurt, but luckily I got to be a student assistant there for 3 years, and a grad assistant there for 1 year too. So yeah, South Carolina's my school now, so I'm a big South Carolina fan.
A proud Gamecock.
Well, I'm really proud now with what's going on. Yeah.
Beamer's doing a great job.
Well, I tell you what, he recruited a couple of my players at Monroe area, and when he was an assistant at South Carolina, and I tell you what, I fell in love with him there. I thought he was a great recruiter, and took care of us, and stayed in contact with me, and you know, he's such an enthusiastic coach. He's a family guy. He's got lots of energy, and I'm real happy what he's done now. We've won 4 straight in November, and got a chance to be 9-3 if we beat Clemson. So I'm an excited Gamecock right now.
Well, awesome. So when you got out of school, what was your first coaching job?
I graduated from South Carolina in 1981. And in 1982, my first coaching job was at Walker High School in Atlanta, Georgia, DeKalb County. And Walker's no longer there. Walker and Gordon High Schools were separate back then, but after about 5 years, I think after I left, they combined that, and now it's McNair High School. And I was there for 1 year, and I went to Stone Mountain High School. I was a secondary coach under a guy named Tom Vantone. And then after that, I had an opportunity. I was going to take my dad's path. He coached high school from 54 to 63, and then went to college. And I was kind of following his path. So in 1986, I went to Tennessee Tech as the outside linebacker coach after Stone Mountain. And I tell you what, this kind of decided my career. We signed about 7 kids from Atlanta at Tennessee Tech because I had connections there. But when I went back to these high schools, Coach, I just, you know, I went to a few pep rallies when I was recruiting these kids, and I just loved high school football. And I went to my dad after that 1 year at Tennessee Tech, and I said, Dad, I really like high school. And I thought he'd be, you know, he might be mad at me, but he certainly wasn't. And that's the career path I took. In 1987, I went back to high school and stayed there till 2020.
So when you left Tennessee Tech and got back into high school, where did you get back in at?
I went to Heritage High School in Conyers, Georgia. I got married and started having kids, and I stayed at Heritage High School under a guy named Joe Smith for 6 years. I was the defensive coordinator, and plus I was the head track coach and also the head girls basketball coach there for 3 years.
Oh, you were busy.
I was busy. Yeah, I was busy. And then my break came in 1993, and at a pretty young age, I was the head coach at Stone Mountain High School in 1993. That was my first head coaching job at Stone Mountain.
Different place back then, wasn't it?
It certainly was a different place. Memorial Drive was a great place to be, and I tell you, it was a nice place. I love Stone Mountain. Uh, the principal was very good to me. I met a lot of friends, and I stayed there for 3 years. We built the program, had some really good players that played college and professional football there. But we stayed in Rock. When I went to Heritage in 1987, we lived in Conyers, and I commuted from Conyers to Stone Mountain. But the job in 1996 was Rockdale County came open, and I was there and had a pretty good uh, career coaching at Heritage, and I took the Rockdale County job in 1996.
The Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs, yes, sir, Rockdale County Bulldogs, and I tell you what, I had a great principal. She was just great, and I went there and I hired me a good staff. Chad Estes, which I play golf with
Oh,
every
yeah.
year at the clinic.
Coach
Chad,
Estes at Monticello now. Well, Jasper County, whatever.
he's in Jasper County. Yeah, he just, they got a little league championship, and he won that 2 of the last 3 years. I think there's 7 teams, and he won that little middle school championship. I'm real proud of Chad, but Chad was my guy. He from the get-go, Chad was smart. He had a great defensive mind. He let me concentrate on offense, and he was defense. And Rockdale was very good. I don't think they had a winning season since 1981, and we went there the first year and went 6-4. Then we went 7-3, and then we had a real good season. We went 11-1 in 1999, and made the playoffs in 2000 and 2001. And then after that, we had a new principal come in, and Coach, you know this just as much as I do. It's all about your administrators. It's all about the connection you got with them and the friendship and the loyalty. And they changed principals, so I decided to leave. And in 2002, I opened up a brand new school from scratch at Chastity High School in Gainesville. And we started there with ninth graders had to come, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders had a choice. And I think that first year they put us in a varsity region schedule in Hall County, us and Flowery Branch. And we started 21 freshmen that year with a varsity region schedule.
Oh, my.
So, yeah.
That's rough.
So we took our lumps, and then a big thing after 3 years we ended up making the playoffs, and in 2005 after that playoff season, I went to Monroe area in 2006 and spent 8 good years there.
Well, what was it like starting a brand new school from scratch? I've always thought that would be like, besides getting screwed into having to play varsity schedule.
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. You know what's slower than a pace car? Waiting at the car wash. That's when I fire up Chumba Casino. It turns those slow minutes into fast fun. With new games every week, you'll never get bored. Next time you're stuck in the slow lane, speed up with Chumba. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Being able to start one from scratch always seems like that'd be kind of fun to do.
Well, I tell you what, you're exactly right. And like you said earlier, I really enjoyed taking programs that hadn't been successful, mainly because, there's only one way to go is up. You can't go down any further. And, I enjoyed taking those type of programs and building numbers and getting the faculty involved and having a good relationship with the community. That's kind of what I wanted to do. But I tell you what, when it came on the field on Friday nights, it was tough. When your linemen are, the same size as the opponent's defensive backs, you're in trouble. But that just made it better. We kept on building numbers, and like I said, after 3 years, we got the state playoffs, and I believe I left Chesty in pretty good hands, and then I went to Monroe area. I had a good friend was the AD, and he offered me that job, and that was my last head coaching job in Georgia. I stayed there till 2014, and we had that great run for 4 years from 2010 to 2013. Those 4 years, we went 42-8 and won the region. We won 3 region championships, and in 2012 we made it to the Final Four in the semifinals of the state championship. And that was when a school named Sandy Creek was really good.
Yeah.
They had Chip Walker, Rodney Walker's son. Rodney's a good friend of mine, and they in 2010 they beat us in the quarterfinals. In 2012, we always had to play them in Sandy Creek. We always lost that coin flip, and we just couldn't beat them. I mean, they won the state championship, but they were kind of our nemesis. And then in 2013, we were undefeated. We were 10-0. And in the second round, we got hooked up with Carrollton, Raven Teague. I coached an all-star game with him. And we had a pretty good lead at halftime, but he came out with 2 tight ends, and we couldn't stop him. So we ended up going 11-1 in 2013, and that's when I retired in 2014. And I went to South Carolina, like a lot of coaches do. They retire and they become a head coach and athletic director at a different state. And I'm a South Carolina guy, so I went down to Wade Hampton, down there in the Low Country, close to Beaufort, Hilton Head, and had 3 really good years there. And then I came back. I came back to Atlanta. My mom wasn't doing well. And then I was the offensive coordinator for Chad Estes at Social Circle for 3 years.
And now you're in Charlotte.
I'm in Charlotte now, Coach. I tell you, after I retired, my daughter lived in Charlotte. Her husband's a chiropractor, so that was my goal, was to be where my kids were when I graduated, when I retired. And I was 60 when I retired, and I did that on purpose so I can live some good years while I was still a little bit younger. But my son moved here in Charlotte. We're all within 5 miles of each other, and dadgum, I got two grandchildren. I got a 3.5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and that's what I do now. I play golf, and I spend time with my family and spend time with my grandkids. And I tell you what, the most special thing that happened to me, Coach, and I know a lot of coaches say this, but being able to coach my son was special to me in high school. Throughout the years, even when I was the head coach in AD at Stone Mountain in Rockdale, I always coached my son's soccer teams or basketball teams when he was growing up. And that was a big part of me, because my father taught me that, coaching, it gets busy and it kind of gets your mind spinning sometimes, and that's all you think about, but don't ever forget your family. And that was a special treat for me, was coaching my son all the way through high school. And I even coached my daughter's son. My daughter, I coached her in basketball and soccer too, and she ended up going to South Carolina on a scholarship to play soccer. And so now I'm with them all. I spend my time with them, and I'm enjoying everything right now, Coach. And just blessed to have an opportunity to work with great people and teach a lot of great kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Rocky Hidalgo put a post on Twitter today, a picture of him hugging his son after the game Friday or Saturday, whenever they played, and it started a Twitter storm of people showing pictures of them hugging their son, getting to coach their son, and what a blessing that was for the guys that got to do that. And
well, I'll tell you what, that's that really, I mean, with your son and Grayson, we met a long time ago when you interviewed and stuff, and just talking to you and seeing the pictures and everything that you do with Grayson, that kind of followed my heart a little bit. And I said, Chris Lamb's a good old guy. I mean, he's a great father and a great husband, and that's the kind of guys I like to hang around with. So,
well, I learned from y'all. I mean, I had good mentors, and that's what I try to pass on to the younger coaches. When I was young, a young coach and raised by y'all, and you watch how y'all interact, and y'all made sure we went home, and you made sure that we spent time with our family, and you taught us that, we're raising other people's kids, but make sure you raise yours too.
That's a good point. That's why you get involved with other kids, and you're a father figure to all the kids you coach, but you got to realize, you're a father to other people too, and your family, and you always got to keep them involved. And, it was funny. My father coached during the days. I mean, he was a college coach from 1965 to 1999. He was at West Virginia, to Texas Tech, to South Carolina, and he went back to Georgia Tech, and then he went to Alabama with Bill Curry, and went to Alabama in Kentucky with Bill Curry, and stayed there with Hal Mumme, and back in those days, recruiting, you were gone all the time. I mean, they didn't have 20-hour limits, or they didn't have limits. They were gone all the time. And, Dad would go in December and watch a kid in Tennessee play basketball while he was at Georgia Tech. And he'd go say, let's go get some groceries, and take him out to eat dinner because it was all legal. And I mean, he did that in December and January and February. So they were gone a long time. And that kind of made my dad happy when I decided I wanted to go to high school instead of college, because he didn't sleep in his own bed very much.
Right.
And but I had a great, my mother's still alive, and she was one. You got to have a good coach's wife. You know that, Chris.
Oh yeah,
and,
no doubt.
My mother was the greatest coach's wife, and she understood that. But when Dad was around, back in those days, it was special. I mean, he was all family, so he taught me. He taught me how to be a good father. I mean, there's nobody else could be a better example than my father.
Yeah, that's important, I think, especially for these younger coaches to understand. And the other thing that I mean, you grew up watching your dad do it. You grew up in a time where you had 6mm, and there was only the only two places in Georgia that made copies. then I mean, I'm not picking at you. I'm just stating fact. I mean, that's the way it was. And then it evolved into VHS. And then you finished your career. We got Huddle, and we still got these young cats that want to sit up there on Sundays for 12 hours when it's unnecessary. When technology has made it to where you don't have to work like we used to. Where you can go home and spend time with your family. Yeah,
but you know what? I mean, you're young. I can't believe you remember those millimeter days, back when you had to put the film together, you had to do all that kind of stuff, and you ran the film, and you had one thing to go reverse, one thing to go forward, and it was difficult. And then VHS, we thought that was a dream. God, we got VHS, and then you went to CDs. But you always had to get up Saturday morning and trade with other coaches. I remember driving all over the state, trying to trade tapes. That's what you did. You trade the last 2 or 3 tapes. And then, Huddle came on, and, I had my young coaches take care of Huddle. I couldn't understand all that stuff.
Well, and another thing we miss out is the sitting in the parking lot at this gas station or at the McDonald's and eating a biscuit, or, visiting and building that camaraderie and that friendships with other coaches. I mean, you want to kill each other on Friday night, but, that Saturday morning tape swap is when you got the network. That's how you network back then.
Well, Coach, you hit that right on spot there, because that's exactly what we did. We because we met face to face. We weren't thinking about the Friday night that's going to happen. We weren't enemies, but you met a lot of friends there, and we did stop and eat breakfast and trade tapes and stuff, and we kind of learned from each other. But back then, coaches are really close knit because of that. And I loved it. I missed it. Once we got huddle, it does everything. Yeah. And I bet you you're the huddle guy at your school, right?
I'm pretty good at it.
Well, you're good at all that little stuff. I mean, that. Yeah, so
well, being a spectrum kid, being autistic, I'm the defensive stuff, picking up on patterns and stuff. Like for a defensive coach, it's ridiculous. There's no excuse in a defensive coach not being able to look at down distance and the formation and being able to come within a 98% certainty of what they're going to do. In my opinion, I mean, it's high school football. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it wasn't back then in the old days. But.
No, you had to hand do it. I remember drawing up the stuff, but I remember my first head coaching job my only head coaching job at Richmond Academy. We're in the region with Statesboro and Ware and Glenn and Effingham, but Coach Pennington was the head coach at Statesboro.
Steve Pennington,
and I knew that he could not stand people to wear sunglasses. So when I went to go trade tape with him, when I got up.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. CT&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Out of the truck, I took my hat off and took my sunglasses off and shook his hand and made sure I looked him in the eye the whole time I talked to him. Because I knew if I did not,
he wouldn't hire you.
He would lose all respect for me as a human, and I did not want Steve Pennington to lose. I knew he was going to beat me by 1,000, but I didn't want to lose his respect. Out of respect to him, I wanted to make sure my hat was off and my sunglasses were off. And to this day, Coach, I don't care who the other coach is. When I walk on that field, I take my hat off. And if I have sunglasses off, I take them off and I shake the man's hand and look him in the eye. And I won't put my hat. I'll put my hat back on, but I will not put my sunglasses back on until I'm done talking to him.
Well, I tell you what, that's a good story. Steve, in the year 2000, I think we might have been fourth in our region, and Statesboro was number one. We made that long trip from Rockdale County to Statesboro, and we had these charter buses, and I think Remember the Titans. It hadn't got out yet, but one of my players' mother got a hold of the Remember the Titans, so we watched that on the way down there to Statesboro, and we got down there, and I tell you what, we found a couple of wristbands, and they were Statesboro wristbands, and they had the plays on them with the numbers. So in about 20 minutes, we tried to, okay, you go in the press box and you look and you try to figure out the numbers are playing, because that's the play. And it was just the opposite. I think Steve planted those things. And they beat us 45-6 or something. But yeah, Statesboro they were a heck of a program. But how long were you at Richmond Academy?
I was only there for a year. That was the year that I'd taken the job. That was when my first child was born without kidneys. And that's when all that went down. So that was just that year. But I was in the region with him. Dan Regal was the head coach at Ware. Maurice Freeman
was in Americas too, wasn't he?
Yeah, before that, Maurice Freeman was the head coach at Brunswick. Rob Ridings was the head coach at Glenn Academy. I mean, there were some dudes. Craig Davis was the head coach at Wayne County was in our region.
Good God.
We were in that region. Had no business being in that region, and we got mollywopped. And I had no business. I tried to resign after all that happened, and I was not in any kind of state of mind to be leading the program, and we'd lived with my parents at the time.
Well, I mean,
and it just wasn't a good situation. So it was during the recession. It was 2006. We couldn't sell our house in Carrollton, so we moved back. We were living with my parents in Augusta because that's where I'm from. And so we were living in Evans with them. And so we had 4 grieving adults living in the house. And then, so we moved back to Carrollton, and I just reset. And Tim Glanton hired me to be his middle school guy when he was at South Paulding. So
yeah, Tim Glanton.
I'm forever grateful to him and for resetting me there, because I just basically did a hard reset like you do with a computer and just started over.
Well, I mean, you're taking care of your family, weren't you?
That's what I had to do.
Yeah. Well, I've told you that before in this conversation. I'm impressed. I mean, just with how you are with your family, and it comes first, and that, to me, that's the way it is. I mean, you cannot. I mean, too many coaches get divorces and stuff like that. But you just got to maintain that family relationship, and you got to get them involved with your program.
Well, speaking of family, one of your coaching family members wanted me to tell you how excited he was because this is going to drop tomorrow on Tuesday, the first one of season 4, and Mike Hancock is all kind of fired up about yours coming out tomorrow.
Uh-oh. Well, I tell you what, Mike Hancock, bless his heart, what he had to go through this year. And, I put this out there in social media. I said, there's one coach who was a great job to deal with all this is Mike Hancock. I mean, he's passionate. He's a Christian man. He's passionate, and he knows how to deal with grieving. And he was the greatest guy to be at Appalachia right now. And, Mike was just so good at Chesty and Monroe, and I'm so glad he got an opportunity to be a head coach because he deserved it. And I tell you what, Mike did it right. Mike wasn't the kind of guy that would yell out and cuss or do anything like that. He strictly went by the book. But the kids loved him, and right now I know those kids loved him at Appalachia. And I just hope this can get over with, and he can continue being a great coach as he is.
Well, who else on your tree has gone off to be head coaches? Because over the years you've had so many guys that have worked with you. I mean, I know a lot of them stayed with you, but who else has gone off to?
Well, I'll tell you what. We talked about Chad. Chad was on my first year at Stone Mountain. Chad wasn't a teacher, but he was one of those voluntary coaches, lay coaches, community coaches, whatever you want to call them. And he was my offensive line coach in 1993. And I couldn't find him a teaching slot in 1994, so he went to Newton. But 2 years later, when I got the head job at Rockdale, he lived right next to Rockdale High School. He was the first guy I called, and I wanted him to be my defensive coordinator. And he stayed with me there 6 years, and then he went to Mundy's Mills as a head coach, and he ended up giving me a head coach at Salem. And then he came back with me at Monroe during that 42-8, 4-year run. And then when I retired and I went to South Carolina, Chad became the head coach of Social Circle. And, of course, after being in South Carolina for 3 years, I came back and was his offensive coordinator. And Chad, I never worried about defense. I hardly went in the defensive room. I just told Chad, hey, look, I want you to be extremely physical. And I want you to be smart. And that's about the only thing I said to him. He's a great defensive coach. David Keys, bless his heart, he passed away in August. He was the head coach. He was with me for 8 years. He was a head coach in South Carolina. Jeremy Holder right now is the offense coordinator at Social Circle. But when I left Monroe, he became the offense coordinator at Parkview. and he was around a lot of great places. And then I had a coach named Lee Carter, who was on my staff, and he ended up being the head coach at 3 DeKalb County schools. Lee Carter, Jeremy Holder, Chad Estes, Mike Hancock, and a lot of other coaches who became either athletic directors or great coordinators that helped me tremendously.
Well, how was Wade Hampton? How was life in the Low Country in South Carolina? How much different was that than Georgia?
Chris, I tell you what, those years were great because Monroe is kind of like a one-horse town, but you got Walnut Grove and Loganville.
Right.
They're right there. But when I went to Hampton, it was probably the first, only school around, and the community was all about Wade Hampton. And I tell you what, I got the job in May, and I moved there. I didn't go through spring practice, and I moved there in June. It was already after, summer started. And so we had a quick turnaround, but I tell you what, I love that community. I met so many great people. Everybody came to the games. Everybody was in full support. And those years there, Chris, they were special. And the only reason I left was because my dad passed away in 2012, Coach Jack Fligg, and my mother wasn't doing well. So in 2017, I left. And that's when I hooked up with Chad at Social Circle. But I think if Mom hadn't got ill, which she's okay now, I would have stayed. I might still be there.
Yeah. Well, you got to take care of your mama. That's a rule.
It was over when I got that call. It was over. I knew I was leaving, but it was a great community, and I was the 4th head coach and athletic director in 4 years. So those seniors had 4 head coaches and ADs, and we survived and won 7 games that year, and then the next 2 years we had over 100 players in the program, and it was nice. But I still go down there, and I still meet with a lot of people, and they're all good friends. And that's kind of the best thing about it is, a lot of my friends lived in one place the whole time. They might have gone away to college, but they always came back home. But I've lived in Stone Mountain, Georgia, Morgantown, West Virginia, Lubbock, Texas, Columbia, South Carolina, and it's special. I've got friends everywhere that even 66 years old, Chris, I still stay in contact with, and I wouldn't change my life for anything with the people I met around the globe.
Well, let me ask you this. You've had a knack for going into places, bad shops, and being a great mechanic. What's like the first thing you do, or what's the formula, or what was your formula?
Well, I had a 7-day method. I would meet with the team the first day. I'd meet with the Booster Club the second day. I'd meet with all the middle school coaches, and the third day I'd meet with all the business people for booster help. The fourth day, and I just kind of laid my first 7 days as big days. They were 20-hour days, but they were big days. But I wanted to attract the kids who didn't think they could play football. Old coaches say, walk the halls. And, when teams aren't successful, there's a lot of kids in the halls that are pretty good. And that's what we did. We walked the halls at every place we went. And then, you just got to get a little taste of winning. And
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
And I'll tell you what, there was a lot of teams that we didn't win. We didn't win a game, in the season before, but it's still the building process. And, I get involved with the community. I get involved with the faculty, enthusiasm, excitement, discipline and all that kind of stuff. And I tell you what, you got to love your kids. And those kids, I was a hard coach on the field, but those kids knew that I loved them. And off the field, I cut up with them. I cut up with their girlfriends, all that kind of stuff. But I love my kids. And I think with love goes, it's a big word, but, if the kids know you love them, they're going to run through a wall for you. And I think that's what helped us out.
Makes a big difference. And they know you care about them. And God knows you spent a long time caring about them, Coach.
Well, the biggest thing I got going on right now, Coach, is I have probably 1,900 ex-players in a little group that it's on my Facebook, and I got kids that are 49 and 50 years old that I stay in contact with. And
well, you do. I tell you what, those that don't know, Coach checks on me all the time. He's involved with checking on me and my son and my family, and it's something he's always done since the day we met almost 15 years ago. 20
it's been a long
ago.
time, hasn't it? Yeah,
and
it's been a long time.
Always knows what Grayson's doing, and it's amazing to me that somebody I never worked for. It means a lot to me that you would take the time to do that, especially when you've got so many other people that you've influenced and had an effect over. And that's to me what makes you legend. And,
well, I'll tell you what,
and those that don't know, the man is hyper competitive because in the Lee Murray Golf Tournament every year, this past year, he's fired up. He comes down. He's in great shape. He's in excellent shape. 66 years old. Looks like he should have probably fought Jake Paul instead of Mike Tyson because he's in way better shape than Mike Tyson. So he's in shape, and he talks about how he does yoga and all this other stuff. He's in great shape. He's fired up about the Lee Murray Golf Tournament. He is so excited. Him and Coach Estes, they're going to put it on people this year. And then during his practice round or his practice range session, he tweaks his back. And Coach is so competitive, he still tried to play. And we're like, Coach, just no. And finally, I think after a few holes, you figured out you couldn't do it. But
well, I tell you what. The funny thing about that story is, I've had 4 hip replacements. My first hip replacement when I was 30 years old, and then I've had back issues, and I get back injections all the time, and I was never I couldn't stretch very good. I was tight, and I decided to go to a place where they stretch you for 30 minutes. And I'm talking about they stretch you very hard. And I went one time going to the Lee Murray tournament. I said, I'm going to get really good loose where I can, I can't use my hips very good, but, I just want to be limber. And after we played 36 holes the day before, and my back from stretching and then moving body parts that hadn't been moved in 30 years, I couldn't believe. I couldn't play, but I made it at about 16 holes, and we were playing good.
Yeah.
Chad and that first day, you were there. I think we shot a 73, and we're in the money. We were in the big heat, the Calcutta, all that kind of stuff. And then I begged the guy who runs it,
Beast Willoughby, John Willoughby,
the beast. And I said, can you find me somebody? He goes, Coach, I can't find you anybody. But I just went out and about 16 holes, we played good. We shot a 74. But Coach Estes kind of took control of that. And so he had my back. But
Ultimate competitor, Coach Fligg, the ultimate competitor.
Yeah, I tell you what, I love those. I mean, did you go during the Lee Murray days when he was alive?
No, sir, I never got to meet him.
Well, I was an original member in 1987, and it was at Lake Omogie. That was the first time, and then I went a lot during the years when Lee Murray was around, and who didn't love that guy? He's so awesome. He was funny, and he made this tournament. But I love going to that tournament to see guys like you and to see Kenny Moore, a good friend of mine that's from Morgan County, and to see all these coaches. I mean, that's the best 3 days of my year.
Bobby Mack. That's when I got to do Bobby McAllister. I got to do the podcast with him when we were there, and he gave me my first job. And then you get to see, Bob Herndon and, a lot of the old heads. And
Bob and Kenny played together. And, Bob was at Heritage, the year before I got there as an assistant. And Bob's a good, it's just good people down there. And that's why you love coaching, is the camaraderie and the fellowship you have with these coaches. We have a good time down there. And
I can't wait to see you this year. I'm fired up.
Oh, I'll be fired up. Ready to go, Coach.
Just don't play 36 holes the day before.
or don't go get stretched,
Or maybe 18 the day before. Maybe just,
I get a little fired up during that time.
Oh, yeah. I guess because you're so competitive. And it's great.
Well, I know, they always say I throw a few clubs, but, I think people exaggerate a little bit. But, I do.
Somebody came off the practice range. They said, Coach Fligg's mad. And I said, oh, my God, what's going on? And it was, you were hurt. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just you were mad because you were hurt. And I was like, I wasn't laughing because you were hurt. I was just like, the running joke is that you'll flip out and, helicopter a club across the. And I'm like, nah, he ain't doing that. And I'm like, nah, he ain't doing that.
My son gets on me all the time. We play golf up here. Dad, chill out. All that kind of stuff.
Well, you're a competitor. You want to win.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is, Coach. We all are. We're all competitors.
That's right.
But we're all friends.
Well, you don't get mad at us. You get mad at yourself because it's a team game, and you want to help your team. We all do. That's just the thing.
Well, I was taught from my father. It's when you win, it's the kids, and when you lose, it's the coach. And that's I took that to heart. So.
Well, when you put a bunch of coaches together out there, it didn't matter if we were playing hopscotch. We'd kick our mom in the back of the leg to beat her at hopscotch if that's what it took.
I tell you what,
that's the way we are.
Those Lee Murray tournaments are competitive, but good gosh, it's so much fun. I like the nighttime when you're sitting around, we're having the barbecue and all that kind of stuff. That's my favorite time, being with Georgia high school coaches, and that's just I miss it.
I wish we had more than one a year, really.
I do too, and I think they have some other tournaments.
The Hall of Fame tournament they have
in the summer and stuff up in Thompson or something. But you're going to be there this week, this time, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. And it won't be long before Grayson's my partner.
Well, I can't wait. Now,
I'll bring him.
What grade's Grayson in now?
He's a junior.
God.
He's got one more year.
I can't believe he's that old now.
Yeah, Coach, he looked me in the eye this weekend. He's as tall as I am now. He's still a little beanpole, but that joker's done shot up. He's about 6 foot tall. So,
well, I'm going to tell your listeners right now, you are one of the best dads that I've known in my career. You take care of that kid, and your love and your security with him is something special, and that caught my eye 15 years ago, and that's, to me, you're special because of that.
Well, I appreciate it. Between my dad and my grandfather and my both my grandfathers and the examples they set, and then being around great men like you and great men in this profession that we need to make sure pass this on to the young men that we mold and shape.
Well, I'll tell you what,
that's what does it.
It's a little bit different thing now I even heard that is the NIL and all that kind of stuff coming to high school, Chris?
It's in Georgia.
Yeah, I heard that it was in Georgia, but I hope that doesn't happen. That's just the rich get richer and, the poor get poor.
Well, I talked to Coach Kofer. He's going to be the second episode. And one of the things I mentioned to him is what would bother me is if you're my coach and I've got a big NIL deal and the college tells me my senior year, baby, all you got to do is show up in January healthy. And I come to you and go, Coach, I'm tapping out. I'm not going to play my senior year because I got this money coming.
Yeah, and
what do you do?
Happening is that happening right now?
It's happening. And can you blame the kid? Especially a kid that's, comes from generational poverty. He gets offered, whether it's several $100,000 or millions of dollars. You got no other opportunity to make that kind of money.
Yeah, you got to take it. And I just wish it didn't hit the high school level, but
it's going to trickle down. I'm afraid. I'm just glad.
It's going to trickle down. But it might be a little bit harder coaching nowadays because of that. But you got to remember, it's all about the kids.
Absolutely.
It's all about the kids and the community and the school loyalty and all that kind of stuff. That's important.
And Coach, you've made a career out of making it all about the kids and the community, and I sure do appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you being on with us today, and I love you, and I can't wait to see you at the Lee Murray, and I look forward to your texts and our conversations and your support, and I just really, it means a lot to me for you to lead off our season this year.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I miss it, and tell all the Georgia coaches I can't wait to see them. And I'm going to tell you what, my sentiments are the same for you too. You do a great job with this podcast and being a great father and just, fighting through the tough times and making it happen right now. So I appreciate you having me, Coach.
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. You know what's slower than a pace car? Waiting at the car wash. That's when I fire up Chumba Casino. It turns those slow minutes into fast fun. With new games every week, you'll never get bored. Next time you're stuck in the slow lane, speed up with Chumba. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.